was exactly 1 year ago this month. That means November of 2021. I took part in my first club contest at my club, TMCS, Toastmasters Club of Singapore. And there were five contestants. And I came in not first, not second, not third. I came in fourth out of 5 people. So it was not a good start. But as a new member, the first time I was competing, I was disappointed. But what my mentor said to me was, when you take part in contests, you don't take part just to win. Because the reality is most people will not win. No matter how many contestants there are, there's typically one winner and everybody else is not a winner. And he said there's so many things that are out of your control when it comes to winning, because maybe the judges don't like you. Maybe you look like the ex-girlfriend or the ex-wife. Maybe the topic that you're talking about is just something they don't agree with. Maybe there was just a much stronger competitor this year. So these are things you cannot control. But he said, what I can promise you is you will learn something. So if you change that mindset from I'm in it to win to I'm in it to learn, you will learn a lot and you will win by learning a lot. So with that, this was November of 2021. With that, I decided, okay, I'm in this to learn. So December was the holiday season for us. So I said, I'm going to take the time now to learn all the things that I did wrong in this contest. And so I learned, and luckily for me, I'm in another club, a second club called Cane Hill, and I took part in that club contest in January, and I won that club contest. Then I went to the next level, which is called the area contest. And here, I didn't come in first. I came in second, but I was very, very lucky. And why was I lucky? I was lucky first because some of the clubs in that area had closed down because of COVID. And so instead of just the top person progressing, 2 people could progress. So I was very, very lucky there. But the real reason I was lucky was because I lost. Why? Because I knew that I would have to meet the same guy who beat me, because he came in first, I came in second, and we would meet again in the next contest, right? And he already beat me once. So guess what? He's going to beat me again. So I knew I had to change my game. I knew I had to seriously go back and look at it. What was wrong with the speech? What was wrong with all that? What did I really have to change? And that was where I first came up with the speech that I took all the way to the finals. It was the speech about the bear. But I would say that if I hadn't lost at that level, at the second level, if I hadn't come in second, I wouldn't have been so motivated to change. So I look at that as I was very, very lucky to lose at that level. And you can see that even though I lost at the first 2 levels out of 6, that helped me to progress further. So with that, now my belief, and it's a firm belief, that every one of us here can go further than what you imagine right now. So if you imagine right now, I can win my club contest. Hey, you can go further than that. If you imagine now I can place first, second, third, you can go even further than that. And maybe, who knows, you can see your face on that. That is obviously this year's world champion, Cyril Dim. So you can superimpose your face on that one day. And even if you don't have the skills, the networks, the time, you can go further if you do something, if you maximize your learning, And today I'm going to show you how to maximize your learning. And this is the acronym MAX, Max. So let's start with M. M is for mindset. And this was the mindset that my mentor showed me after I lost that first contest. And that's the mindset of, I'm here to learn, not to win. I'm here to learn. And by learning, that's how you'll win. And let me share with you what this means for me. So when I think of, okay, I'm here to learn, not to win, I ask myself, what would I do differently? What would I do differently? And here are 3 things that I tried to do differently. The first thing was every time I had a chance to speak, whether it was in my club, whether it was in some of the 50 clubs that were so kind to host me, I would try something new every single time. Try a new message, try a new style of speaking, try a new opening, try a new gesture, try a different angle of looking at the camera. There's always something new to try. And I always say, okay, what am I going to try that's different this time? Because if I don't try anything new, then I haven't learned anything in that session. So I try and do something new. And in fact, today I'm also trying something new. Some people saw this version of this workshop yesterday, and between yesterday and today, I'm going to try quite a lot of new things also. So that's something I encourage you to do. Every opportunity, try something new. The second thing I learned is test from scratch. What does test from scratch mean? So very often, and especially when we're preparing for contests, we don't feel ready to show our speech until it's quite polished, right? Until you've got not just the speech, but also the delivery. You know where you're going to stand, you know what you're going to wear. You try and make it until it's quite polished. But that's not how it needs. That's not how I thought about it. I thought about it from I need to test every single thing, including testing the message and the story, which is the foundation of a speech. And so a few times I would go into club meetings and I would be reading from a script. Like it was not polished at all. I was not standing up. I had not memorized my speech. I had clearly not done the props and all the delivery thing. But all I wanted to do was to test the story and the message. Because if the story and the message didn't resonate for me, if I didn't feel the passion in delivering it, if it didn't connect with the audience, then I don't want to waste any more time on making that speech, on working on that speech. So the important thing is test from scratch. Don't wait until the speech is perfect before you've tested before audience. Go to some meetings and just be very honest with your evaluator or the audience. Hey, today I'm just testing my message. Today I'm just testing the story. Do you resonate with the story? Is it simple? Can you understand it? So test. And clearly when you test from scratch, what's going to happen is you'll fail a lot. And I failed a lot. There were many times when it was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. Especially when people introduced me and said, oh, she's in the last 28 people, she's a semi-finalist. And people thought I was going to come in with a very prepared speech. And I was standing there reading from my script. And I would say, I'm very, very sorry. So it didn't feel good. But if you don't test and learn at every stage, guess what? Either that audience can tell you you're wrong, or the judges can tell you that it's not working. And it's very painful when the judges tell you it's not working. Okay. The last thing I did differently when I think of I'm here to learn, not to win, is I was willing to ask for help. So because I was so new in Toastmasters, I knew I didn't have some of the skills. One of the skills I didn't have was humor, because humor is quite an advanced skill. Typically, you take about 3-4 years before you're comfortable with knowing how to use humor. And I knew I was not strong in humor, but I asked for help. So in some of the meetings I went to, I would say, I would love your help looking for all areas where I can make the speech more humorous. And this gentleman in the corner, he's a very experienced Toastmaster from the US. And he was so kind. He actually said, hey, why don't you think about this angle? There's this funny thing here that I think you can play on. And he gave me that idea and I started to play with it. And that became the line in my speech that got the biggest laugh. So when you think about I'm here to learn, not just here to impress or here to validate, when I'm here to learn, you try, you test, and you ask for help. So as you go along your journey, think about how can you learn and not just how can I win. Okay. With that, let's go to A. A is assessing skills. Where are you at? Now, in my club, we have this skills checklist, and these are the core 10 skills of public speaking. If you did the competent communicator, you're probably familiar with these checklists. If you're doing pathways, you may not be so familiar with these skills. So I think of these skills as the Lego blocks. Once you have these Lego blocks, you can build anything. You can build a house, you can build a dinosaur, you can build a castle, but you need these Lego blocks. The challenge is when you're a new Toastmaster, you don't have many of these Lego blocks, right? And when you ask for feedback, you're going to get a lot of feedback that you don't have a lot of these Lego blocks. Oh, your speech structure is not there. Oh, your opening is not there. Oh, your body language is not there. And it's very confusing. So what do you do? What would I encourage a new Toastmaster to do differently? Pick one skill at a time. Just pick one at a time. Don't try and fix everything at the same time. Just pick one thing and then practice it 3 to 5 times. Can be the same speech, can be the same speech in different meetings, or can be different speeches, right? Just practice that until you're comfortable with that one skill. So an example is, for me, opening with impact. I didn't know how to open speeches with impact. And so I said, okay, I'm going to test this speech and I'm going to try opening it in different ways. I'm going to try once opening it with a question. I'm going to try once opening it with a gesture. I'm going to try once opening it with a long pause, right? So try different ways until I say, okay, I'm comfortable with that skill. Then I move on to my next skill. And that's what will help. The other thing I learned is that there's something called a skills ladder. A skills ladder. And what that means is that at the early stages of the contest, you don't need to be 10 out of 10 or 5 out of 5 on all these skills. You can start with many gaps in these skills. And I started with many gaps in these skills. And in fact, as you progress, that you learn to build these skills. So I'll give you an example of my skills ladder, and you can build your own skills ladder. So this is what my skills ladder looked like across the 7 stages of the contest. Before the contest started, I knew I was okay in some of these skills. Like I knew I was okay in descriptive language. I knew I was okay in body language. But as I went into the first few contests, I realized that I didn't know things around the topic. So I didn't know how to choose the right message and the right story. That was something that I learned from scratch in that contest. In fact, the reason why I lost the first contest was because I didn't have a message in my story, in my speech, sorry. The other thing I didn't know was the difference between a contest speech and a club speech. And so that was something I had to learn as well. Then as the contest progressed, I learned more and more skills. So my message to you is, don't worry about not having all these skills. You will build them as you go along, but pick one skill to work on at a time. And that's how you will build those skills. And even today, after the finals, there's skills that I'm looking to build, like humor. I'm still not good at humor. So still looking to build some of those skills. With that, today, my gift to you is I want to share with you the 2 biggest skills that I learned as a new contestant, because this is something that I really didn't understand was the difference between a normal club speech and a contest speech. And the 2 skills are the story message. How do you choose a story and message? And the second is, what's a contest speech structure? Okay. So with that, I will jump into these 2 core skills, and along the way, I'll suggest some places where you can take screenshots if you want to remember some of these things. So first question, poll question. What comes first, the story or the message? The story or the message? Let's see what you think. So it's again in your poll, the story or the message, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Okay. So most people think the story comes first. Okay, half and half. Okay, more people think the message comes first. Okay, this is what I learned. The message comes first. In the contest, the message comes first. And I didn't know that because I had only done normal club speeches. And I always started with a story. But in a contest, the message comes first. And why? When you look at the judging criteria, this is the judging criteria for the International Speech Contest, and you read through it, you'll see that the content is the bulk of it, 50%. And most of it will talk about a message. So the speech has to be structured around a purpose, in other words, a message. It must move towards a conclusion, in other words, a message. The development of the speech must be supported by examples. So the story supports the message, but the message comes first. And that was a critical mistake for me. I didn't know that you start with a message when you're doing a contest speech. And what is a message? Think of a message as this is your gift to your audience. What are they going to take home? The story is your gift to yourself because you love the story. You live that story, right? That's your gift to yourself. But the message is the gift to the audience. So this is what they are going to take home. So let me go through. How do you find your message? And here are 3 ways to find your message. Start with universal themes. So universal themes are things that all of us as human beings experience. And here's a list that I got from one of the books that were very helpful, and I'll have a list of these books later on. So these will be universal themes around, for example, love, compassion, perseverance. How do you bounce back after failure? Humility. So things that are very core values to us as human beings. So start with universal themes. You don't want to pick something that is too unique because some parts of the audience may not identify with it. Then you want to think about you. What are your truths? What are some things that make you you? What are some values that you really hold so much to yourself? Maybe you think of yourself as, I'm a very perseverant person, right? No matter what happens, I always bounce back. Or you think I'm a very giving person, right? Something that makes you you. Think about lines, think about values that have inspired you, or people that have inspired you, things that have changed your life. So for me, I drew on the messages that have shaped my life, the things my mother shared with me, and those were my truth. That's how I live my life. That's how I found my truth in who I am. So start with that. Then you also want to overlay with that what's on top of your audience's minds. So what's happening in the world today that people are thinking about? So an example is, obviously we're all struggling with the economy right now, the cost of living. People are worried about jobs. People are worried about being left out of the economy, that they need to upskill, being left behind. So dealing with change. So these are some topics that are top of people's mind. And when you find topics that cut across all three of this, that they're universal, so all humans can identify it. At the same time, it's something that you feel very strongly about. And also that's something that people are thinking about. Those would be very, very powerful message areas or theme areas. Then after you've thought of the broad theme, you then want to make it catchy. And here's something that you may have heard of. It's called a foundational phrase. It can also be called an anchor phrase, a catchphrase. It's called but I think of it as a foundational phrase. And you've heard some of these. If you've watched the YouTube champion videos on YouTube, you've probably heard some of these. Write a different story, pull less, bend more, ouch. All these are foundational phrases, right? And this is honestly, this is where the money is at. This is what will win you or lose you a contest. So spend a lot of time thinking about this foundational phrase. Let me help you with a couple of things to keep in mind. So you want a foundational phrase that is short, typically around 6 words. You don't want it to be 15 words. It's way too difficult for someone to remember. So somewhere around plus minus 6 words. You want it to be simple. None of the words here are so difficult that someone needs a dictionary, right? They must be very simple words that a primary school student can understand. And you want it to be rhythmic. There's a singable quality to it. Facts sell, stories sell. Very nice singable quality. What are some inspiration to find that foundational phrase? 1, phrasal verbs. So phrasal verbs are things like reach out, right? So so these are nice phrasal verbs because phrasal verbs are 2 words, one of which is like I said, reach out is a very good phrasal verb. So think of phrasal verbs. Those are very good starting points for foundational phrases. The other one is an idiom, a common saying, a metaphor that you can turn a little bit, that you can twist a little bit so that people don't, there's a nice little twist to that. So that's another place to think of a foundational phrase. A third one is rhymes. So like turn your scars into stars. That's a very nice rhyming foundational phrase, right? Again, this is where the money's at. I really believe that if you have this, everything else flows beautifully. So spend a lot of time thinking about your message and then your foundational phrase linked to that message. And here are some useful resources. I'll have a snapshot. I'll have a page of all these resources later at the end. But these were some resources that are very helpful in thinking about what's a foundational phrase. Okay, so that's the message. Now let's go to the story. Once you have a foundational phrase, which is your theme, and then, once you have a message, which is your theme and your foundational phrase, where do you find your story? The easiest way to find your story is to start from the emotions and specifically think about the 7 power emotions. So think about the time when you felt one or more of these power emotions. And these are the emotions that all of us feel and that are easiest for the audience to identify with. So these power emotions are fear, anger, disgust, sadness, happiness, surprise, love, and trust. So think about a time when you felt the most fear. And that'll be a really powerful story to tell. Or when you felt the most anger. And that's, again, a very powerful story to tell. So where to find your story, you can start here. Okay. And here are some useful resources that I'll refer you to later on that can help you with finding your story. And it's not easy. The story and message, honestly, will take up more than half of your prep time in the speech, because that's where it's at. If you don't have the right story and message, it's really very difficult to try and fix it with all the other things. You have to have a strong story and message. Okay. So I can tell you, it's not easy. Finding a story and message is not easy. This was me in July, a few weeks before the contest. I was so stressed, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I lost 3 kg. It was very, very, very stressful. But what kept me going was that question. What's the story and the message that I need to tell? What's the message that I need to share with the world? Because it's something I believe so much that has helped me in my life and that I believe can help other people in their life. And what's the story that shows that? So keep going by thinking, what's the story and message that you need to tell? With that, we'll come to the second core skill, which is good speech structure. So again, speech structure is all part of that 50%, that magical 50% that contest judges are looking for. And here's my quick start guide. After analyzing many speeches, here's my quick start guide to newbies. So to anyone taking part in a contest for the first time, follow this structure. Don't think too much about it. Follow this structure, work with it. Later on, as you get more comfortable, that's fine. Go and play around with it. But if you're a newbie and you are running out of time and you really don't know where to get started, follow the structure. It's good enough to get you to your first club contest. Don't take a snapshot yet, but at the end of it, take a snapshot. So the first part of a good contest speech, the opening. Have an opening that must create curiosity within 20 seconds. In fact, a very good speech captures your attention within 2 or 3 seconds. And there are many ways to do it. Any speech that you look at, winning speech, you'll see how they create curiosity. And that's what you want to spend your time on. How do I create curiosity in my opening? The next part is your audience target. And this is something I didn't understand. This is something I had to learn through the process, which is you want to tell the audience what hat are they wearing when they listen to you. So what do I mean by that? We all wear many hats in our lives, right? But you want to help the audience know what you're going to be talking about so that they can be wearing that right hat when they listen to you. An example is, in my speech, I talked about fear. So my audience target, I had a line that said, anyone who's faced your biggest fear. If your speech is about losing someone you love, then you might want to say, anyone who's had to deal with losing someone you love. Now, there are many creative ways you can say that, but the whole idea is you want to prep the audience for what hat you want them to wear. And so you want to suggest to them that who the audience target is, who they are when they're listening to your speech. Then you want to give them enough background on your speech. But here's the key thing, just enough. Don't waste too much time and too much words setting up the background. And this is where I went wrong, because I always started with a story. And in a story, the background is really important, right? But when the message is important, the story is only supporting. So you want to give only just enough background, just enough of the circumstance. Where were you? Just enough of who are the characters, just enough of what you're trying to achieve, just enough, not too much. Okay? Because you want to bring them quickly into the conflict. What is the challenge you're facing? And this is the part where the emotions are going to come out. So you want to bring them quickly into the conflict. You want to build that conflict, as in escalate that conflict all the way to a point of climax where a guru shows up. And this again is something I learned in the contest speech, because I didn't know about this guru. Most of my speeches didn't have gurus, or I was the guru. And that's a no-no. A guru is someone or something who comes to you with this message. whatever that message you have for the audience. And they are the ones that show you that message. It can be a person, so it can be your mother, it can be your teacher, it can be your whatever. It can also be a lyric of a song, a book, something you saw in the clouds. It can be anything, but the whole idea is that it's not you. It must come from outside you. And we can take a question later on why. Why must it be not you? In fact, think about that. Why is the guru anything or anyone but not you? Finally, you want to close off your story, right? Whatever happened in that story, you want to close it off, and you want to show the personal transformation. How were you changed? And there's two kinds of changes. There's the external change. So it's an action. You used to act this way, now you're going to act this way. But also the internal change. What you believe differently. You used to believe something, now you believe the opposite. So you want to show that transformation. Then you go into the audience application. So dear audience, the next time you find yourself in this specific situation, so the next time you find yourself in a time when you're very scared, do this differently, right? So apply it for that. And then finally, you want to close off the whole speech. Ideally, you call back to your opening. However you open it, you want to close it. So there's a very nice tight structure. And any loose ends you have, make sure you've tied up the loose ends. So, okay, if you want to, go ahead and take a screenshot of this. This is a quick start guide to speech structure. So if you don't know where else to start, use this as a structure for your contest speech. The other thing you'll notice is I put there 600 words. And you're probably thinking 600 words is very, very little. And I'll come back to that on why 600 words in a while. Can I just check timer? How much time do I have? Because I was going to play a video, but if I don't have time, I won't play it. I can't hear you, Tina. Sorry, Tina, I can't hear you.
So right now you have you reached 30 minutes and 1 second.
Okay, then I won't play the video. So I'm not going to play the video. What I would like to do is take a look at this quick start guide. What I would suggest is then go to YouTube and look at any of the winning speeches. I picked here, whether it's Manoj's Pull Less, Bend More speech or Press Vasilev's Change by Attire, use that speech structure and compare it to these speeches, and you'll see that that's a very standard format that a lot of winning speeches do. So I would please do that. Go ahead and you'll see how the structure works and then apply it to your own speech. Okay. 600 words. Why 600 words? So when I started the contest, I was always saying, hey, I'm okay with 850 words because you have 7.5 minutes. And I said, I speak quite fast, so I can do about 850 words. But as I went through the contest, I learned that less is more. Less is really, really more. When you force yourself to be at 600 words, and it's not easy, I was like, there's no way I can do a speech in 600 words. It's too little. But when you force yourself to 600 words, here's what happens. You use fewer words, which means you have more pauses. And pauses is where the audience engages, where they absorb your story, where they apply it to their own lives. So using fewer words gives you time for more pauses. Using fewer words forces you to sharpen your message. When I had more words, what happened was that I was getting a lot of sub-messages creeping into my story, and it was confusing my message. So when I forced myself to use fewer words, I cleaned out the sub-messages and I made sure I had only one clear message, and I would repeat that message more often rather than have many sub-messages. And the last thing is when I have fewer words, it forces me to cut down on my characters. You only want to have about 2 or 3 characters in your story. Anything more than that is very difficult because you cannot develop the character. And when you don't develop a character, whether it's yourself or the other persons in the story, people don't identify with that character. So forcing yourself to have fewer words forces you to choose who your characters are and to just develop the few characters you have. Okay, finally, finally, X. X stands for experts. who has been where you want to go, who has been where you want to go, so that they can help you get where you want to go. The good news is there's lots of free resources. YouTube is going to be your best friend. All the winning speeches are on there. A lot of free workshops conducted by your district here, conducted by world champions, conducted by other districts, lots and lots of free resources. What I would also suggest, if you're serious about competing and not just competing, but learning, do consider getting some of these books and courses, and you can take a picture of this. These really helped me so much because I was out of time. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the networks. And this really opened the door to so many skills and so many tips and tricks that I didn't know otherwise. The books are fairly easy to read. They are also fairly cheap. They're about $10 US. You can even borrow them from the library. So go ahead with the books. But I would also suggest the digital courses. They're a bit more expensive. They're a few $100 US. But to me, it was not so much the money, it was the time, because it takes a lot of time to listen to these courses. And that's where you have to be creative. You have to think, how can I listen to this when I'm driving to work? How can I listen when I'm exercising in the morning? But you get so much value out of this, especially on the delivery side. Like, how do you tell a joke? How do you set people up for humor? So much value in these digital courses. So with that, the other thing is, after you've used all these available resources, you also want to find people, experts who have been where you want to go. And this is where I would say you don't need to go all the way to the world champion when you're starting at the club contest. I certainly didn't. When I started at club contest, my coaches were the past club champions. And then as I progressed, my coaches were then the district champions. And it was only when I got to the last few stages that I engaged coaches who are professional coaches. One thing I'll say is it's not hard to find experts, right? So even in your club, if you think of the past club champions, there's 3 winners last year. Every single year there's 3 winners. If you look around the other clubs, you can probably find quite a lot of people who can be your coaches. The thing you have to ask yourself is, how do you attract the right coaches? Because the right coaches only want to work with people who are worth their time. And so how are you going to show the coach that you are the person that they want to work with? And that's something you have to think about. How are you going to attract the right experts? So with all that, I am going to close off. Here are the 3 things I shared. Mindset, what's the mindset of learning, not winning? Assessing what are the skills that you have and what the skills you need to build. And it's okay, you don't have to have all the skills. I shared with you the 2 core skills that I found the most useful when I was starting out, which are around the story and message. And the second one around speech structure. Why is that different in a club speech versus a contest speech? And finally, how do you find experts, whether they're books and courses or also past champions in your area, even if you don't have a huge network right now? So with that, you know how to maximize your learning. Hopefully that will be you on the left-hand side. But the first action of any champion is to take action. And so my question is, now that you're ready, are you going to do it? And you can answer in the poll. Are you going to do it? Are you going to take part in this year's contest? If you've already signed up, indicate that. If you're signing up right now or right after this workshop, indicate that. If you say, promise I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, most people are already signed up. Fantastic. So hopefully you found this very helpful. Hopefully you learned something from this today. And timer, how much time do we have for questions?
Yes, you have 10 more minutes.
10 minutes, great. Okay, fantastic. So we have time for questions now. The way this poll works is you can go ahead and type in your question, or if you like any of the questions that are there, you can upvote or downvote it, and then that way I'll take the questions that are the top questions. So yeah, so feel free to go ahead and type in your questions. It's the same link. It should come up on the poll. You can go ahead and type your question or upvote and downvote those questions, and I can take those questions. Or if you want to, you can also unmute and ask the question live. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, how to use the Zoom stage. Okay, we'll take that question first. How to use the Zoom stage. So this year I was very, very lucky. Well, this year I competed on Zoom. I was one of the 6 people who competed on Zoom out of the 28 in the semi-finalists. And my reason for that was because I joined Toastmasters during COVID. So I mostly grew up on Zoom. I would say the most important thing about using the Zoom stage is using the Zoom stage. So make sure whatever stage you have, make sure you use the most of the space. And that means, use left, right, front, back. And especially Zoom, one huge advantage of Zoom is facial expressions. You have the opportunity to do this, right? To lean in, to do I'm sharing with you a secret. And that's something that someone competing on a physical stage doesn't have. So use the Zoom stage. I was very lucky to meet Nitai Yen Levy. He was the person, he was first runner up in last year's contest, and he is the king of the Zoom stage. I honestly think there's no one better than him in using the Zoom stage. He has done a couple of workshops. Look out for his workshops on how he uses the Zoom stage. And the way he thinks about it is he thinks of it as he's a TikTok director, right? So if you're familiar with TikTok, he thinks of it as how can I make my speech like a TikTok video? Because when you're on Zoom, don't forget people are watching you, but a lot of people don't have their camera on, which means they are eating, they are doing some other thing, they're doing 15 other things. They're not concentrating on you. So what you need to do is you need to constantly grab their attention visually with vocal variety and everything. And he even has a 2-second rule. He said, every 2 seconds, I need to be moving. Something needs to be happening because otherwise people are not concentrating. So when you think about that, how do you use Zoom? How do you play to your advantage? Think about how do I move more often, like a TikTok video? How do I use my voice like a TikTok video? You also have the advantage of props on Zoom, because with Zoom, it's very easy to show a prop and have it disappear. On a stage, it's harder to have a prop and have it disappear. So use these to your advantage, right? You can use bigger props. So yeah, so that's how to use the Zoom stage. Okay, how to memorize my speech? The short answer is practice, practice, practice. But actually, it's not about memorizing your speech. It's about internalizing your speech. And that's where thinking about the message, having it message first helps, because what's the message that I want to share? And when you think about what's the message that I want to share, then at every point, you just have to come back to how am I sharing that message? So you don't have to memorize the whole speech. In fact, even for me in the contest, and I practiced about maybe 50, 60 times my speech, I was still only about 95%, 97% word for word. So I was never 100% word for word. But it's okay, because the key thing is the message, that the message get through. So internalize the speech and just come back to what's the message is the short answer. So practice, but practice in terms of delivering a message, not delivering word for word. Now, practice obviously helps a lot. So, and for sure, you need to practice a lot before any contest. There are different memory techniques and you have to play around with what works for you. Some people have used things like memory palace, which is how do you reuse different parts of your body to remember your speeches. So if you think of your speech in like 4 or 5 chunks, the first chunk, okay, how can I associate it to one part of my body? The second chunk to a different part of my body. And that way, if you lose yourself somewhere, you can say, okay, the next chunk is that. And then hopefully you can pick up from there. To be honest, that doesn't work so well for me. What works for me, and you have to find what works for you. What works for me is positioning on a stage. So I try and not just memorize the words, but also link it to different parts of the stage, the right part of the stage, the left part, front, back, my body positions. So it's easier for me to remember the flow of the body positions as well as the speech. And I see I am out of time Okay. Yes, I'm out of time, Tina. Thank you so much. How to stop being nervous? Maybe I can leave that to Charles to take that question. So with that, thank you everyone so much for your time this morning. If you have any questions, my contact details are here. Feel free to drop me a question and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you and all the best for your contest. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Adeline, for your such a great sharing for everyone, because as our club contest is coming soon and it really helpful, I believe so. And I really love the phrase that you said, we come here to learn, not to win, for sure. So this is the way that we win. Thank you. And now I believe that we may have the certificate for our Toastmaster Adeline. So I would love to hand this floor to our Picture Day Distinguished Toastmaster Lee. Please help me to welcome.
Hi, Adeline and everyone. Thank you so much for your fantastic training for District 97 today. I'm truly believe that everyone here can learn a lot of experiences from Adeline's secret source of winning the speech. I really love her style to conduct the training today, the engagement and everything so lively. And one thing that I believe that Adeline is not the only one, is the champion who like us to be complete our pursuit. But I learned from Adeline that everyone can be the winner. And I would like to conclude today for Adeline. Just you say yes, you are the champions of yourself. Thank you so much, Adeline. And please join me to thank you, Adeline, with tons of lots of support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Shall we take a group photo? Do you want to take a group photo now or later?
Yes, I'm going to ask my Zoom master to take a photo because Adeline had to leave for do something with her family. Yeah. Anyone? I invite everyone, please open your camera. Yes, a very nice sections.
Hold on. Wait. Everybody is ready? I will take the first shot. 1, 2, 3. The second shot. Let me go to the second page. We have so many audiences today.
That's so wonderful to see everyone on a Sunday.
3. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoom Master. Thank you, everyone. All the best for your speech contest. Remember, you can learn, and that will help you win.
Well, thank you so much for the very cute group photo and really nice for Adeline's speech. And now we may have 10-minute break. So please grab your coffee or you can relax yourself after our second trainer come to the stage. Thank you. Timer, please kindly put the time for 10 minutes.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm also happy to stay on for 10 minutes if anyone has any specific questions to ask during the break.
That was so nice from Adeline. Thank you.
Well, Ernest has taken part in a lot more contests than I have. Ernest, you want to share some of your advice, like how to not be nervous? Because that was a question. Oops, Ernest has disappeared.
Hi, Adeline. I have a question for you.
Yes, of course.
I'm Megha. I'm from a club in District 97.
Hey, Megha, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I have a question about building a practice routine. Can you share a little bit about how you built your practice routine as you?
Okay. Is this practice like right before the actual contest speech itself, or like in the months leading up to the contest?
In the months leading up to the contest.
Okay, got it. So for me, what I try and do is, and this is not just for the contest, but just a more regular thing. I have a weekly routine. So I try and mark out every week. I want to spend some time on learning some new Toastmasters skill, and it can be reading one of those books. It can be listening to some of the courses. It can be attending a workshop. So I actually set myself to say my goal every week is 7 30-minute sessions. It can be 30 minutes a day, or it can be, well, for me, what happens is it tends to be bunched towards the end of the week, and I'll do like maybe a 2-hour session, or I'll listen for 2 hours, or attend a workshop for an hour, and so on. So I try and just make sure that every week I have a regular thing where I'm learning something outside of attending the chapter meetings. And it's not easy, so you just have to write it down and just say, okay, this week I'm going to just spend 2 to 3 hours listening and learning. And the good thing about the online courses is that many of them are audio courses. So you can do them in the car, you can do them when you're walking, and I do that in the mornings when I exercise. I'll listen to on my iPods. So it's I think to me that's one thing. It's like just have that regular system of learning something new throughout the year, the months and years. Because you try and bunch it all together at the end, it's very, very hard. It's a lot to take in. And then the other thing I also try and do is to make sure that out of the 3, and in fact, what I try and do is alternate. So after a while, when I've learned some new stuff, like say 2 or 3 weeks of learning new stuff, then I try and make sure that I apply it in some small way. So if I learn something, for example, on humor, I'll say, okay, how can I apply it into, a speech that I'm working on? Because if you don't apply it then and you try and group all that information, it becomes too much.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that helps. This is actually more just a regular routine that helps. Like with anything else, right? Is habit, the power of habit.
Impressive. May I ask, how often do you deliver a speech at your club?
At my club, so I've been quite bad since August, since the finals. But before that, I was pretty good. So my goal was at least once a month. And then in the lead up to the contest itself was a lot more. But before that, my goal was at least once a month, either in my club or in another club.
Okay.
And I have some of my club members in today's meeting, Marcel, Jayashree, Ernest are all from my club. Yeah, so good luck, Megan. It's start where you start. And every day that you put in time to learn and learn and apply, you really will improve so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the courses, especially Press Vasilev's course, it's wonderful because it's 28 bite-sized videos. Each video is only about 15 to 20 minutes. He actually designed it so that every day you'll receive one video in your inbox, and then each video is like 15 to 20 minutes. So it's very short. You can, try and fit it in somewhere.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll definitely look it up.
Any other questions I can help take?
Yes.
Hey, you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Emily. I have a problem is about categorize my thinking about the message to deliver. Yeah.
It's not easy. That's where the winning, the secret sauce really is. And that's a lot of timing. It's not it's really a lot of thinking, the message. So I would, like I said, the 3 areas I would start with a universal theme, right? So maybe it's love. Maybe it's perseverance, which is bouncing back after failure. Maybe it's humility, something that really resonates with you, something that you really feel very strongly about. Maybe it's a lesson that you've always carried from childhood. Maybe something your parents have taught you, your teachers have taught you, or something that you discovered for yourself, and some value that you really feel very strongly in yourself. So I would start with that. What if you can think of one value that you carry through your life that you really believe in, and you don't have to share it now, can think about it. So like for me, one of the values that I really carry, which became my semi-final speech, is what my mother always said. My mother always said that every flower must bloom in their own time. That is actually a Chinese saying, 花爱 kaki kui, which is like every flower must be able to bloom when they bloom, right? You can't force a flower to bloom before they're ready to bloom. And that's something my mother always said a lot, because my brother and I are so different. And she always said, and I always compare, how come you do this to me, but my brother gets all these special things? And she always say, because you're different flowers, right? You bloom faster, he blooms slower. So it's something that was always she always said when I was growing up. And that's something I always believe in. Everyone is different. You cannot force two people to do things when they're not ready. So that to me is a very core value for me, and that became my speech. So it's not easy. You just have to think, and you'll find the more you think, the more you'll find inspiration, things that have shaped your life, have shaped how you think today, have changed what you do differently today from other people. There's someone, one of the champions, he said this: if you had to pass on a message to someone you love who's very young, so if you're a parent, what message would you pass on to your child? If you're not a parent, what message would you pass on to, say, your niece or your nephew? Someone that you really, really love, right? Someone that is going to carry this throughout their life. What is that message that you would pass on to that young person?
Yes, that is really interesting. So how to pass it? Sometimes it is something really deep, and
yes,
it's difficult to touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's not easy. It's really, it's not easy. But once you start with the message, at least it gives you a starting point. You start with the message, you start with, okay, what's the story? And then once you have that core piece, then you can play around with it. Then you can play with about, how do I simplify the story? Because 7 minutes is not very long. Okay, so a lot of these stories have a lot more detail than 7 minutes, right? So you want to simplify it enough to be the story needs to be just enough to support the message. So if you think the message always is first, then the story supports. Then you realize you can actually cut away a lot of details from the story. So it's not easy. That's the hard work. That goes into the 2, 3, 8 months of work to do a good speech. Yeah. But you know what? Start where you start. Start where you start. We all start where we start. We don't know. And as we do it, that's where we get better.
Thank you.
If you would like me to help with your speech and all that, please feel free to contact me. Very happy to help you brainstorm how you can do your speech, your message. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I will contact you.
Okay. Thomas, I see your hand is up. Can I take your question in the 1 minute we have?
Yes, please. As we know, humor is both context and cultural specific.
Yes.
So my question is, do you think that humor has any universal characteristics?
Yes, huge. Humor is so important. It's so critical. So definitely humor is, I think I'll answer that way. Humor is needed in every context, but the context is different, because obviously depending on who your audience is, some audiences like more physical type humor or more direct humor. Some audiences like more clever or intellectual humor. So yes, you might have to adapt that speech as it goes through the different levels, right? Because your club and area is going to be more homogeneous. As you go higher and higher, the universal, now you're talking to an audience of, for people from 100 countries. So, but definitely in every context, I believe humor is needed. It's just the type of humor may need to change a little bit as you progress through that stage.
But is there any universal characteristic that's common to all cultures or all contexts?
Yes, I think certain types of humor, self-deprecating humor, would be one that most people identify with. Physical humor probably a little less. Some contexts and some cultures are less comfortable with physical humor. Some cultures really like physical humor. So you play a lot with that. An excellent course, and I see the time is up. An excellent course is Craig Valentine's course, 33 Humor Secrets. It's part of that bundle of his digital book, 33 Humor Secrets. It's his digital course. It's so amazing because he highlights opportunities for humor that you've never thought of. So highly recommend doing that. I'm doing that course too. So yeah. Okay, back to you, TMOD.
Wow, thank you so much. So the time break is come to an end, and during this break, we also take these advantages and share to each other as well. Thank you so much. And what I would love to share you is that today's training is not only we come here and learn, to learn from our trainer, but also we have one more special things. It's about training passport. So are you really curious how to get it? Let me invite our picture Adeline to the screen.
Oh, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Adeline, and welcome all back to the second section to our training today. I would like to show you the training passport from the 3C97. It's very easy. Just join all these 3 district training events to get limited edition Toastmasters pins. So be sure that at the end of the event, we will send you the link to do a feedback form. Okay. And then you enroll and get everything, and then we send the email back to you to record that you have successfully training with us. All right, thank you. May I return the control to our lovely TOD, Sreya? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And now our second trainer is waiting for us, and I could not wait to hear from our second trainer as well. Our second trainer, Distinguished Toastmaster Charles, is the Program Quality Director, elect for District 51, Toastmaster term 2022 to 2023. He is presently the Club Growth Director for District 51. He has held many various leadership positions such as Area Director, Division Director, and both presidents distinguished during this term. And today, this is our honor to have him and share us about how to organize the contest. Are you curious for that? May I have your heart, whether you are ready for this? Let's show me your heart. Thank you, thank you. And now I would love to invite our distinguished Toastmaster Charles to the screen. Distinguished Toastmaster Charles, how to organize the contest? How to organize the contest, Distinguished Toastmaster Charles.
Thank you, Srirov. Everyone can hear me well? Yep,
Yes.
thanks. Yep. So I just want to share two things before I start. Actually, in the 100-meter race, 4 by 100, 4 times 100, the fastest 2 runners are always in front and behind. That means the first one and the last one is always the fastest 2 runners. The third and fourth is quite fast, but nowhere near the fastest. In any event, they have a keynote speaker, which is in front, and they have a very interesting event at the end. Do you know why? Because they want to make sure everyone comes on time and no one leaves before the end of time. That is why they have Adeline as the first and CP as the last. And then there's me in between. This is just another way of using humorous, like what Adeline has just said. By the way, nervousness is always present, no matter how many speeches have you done. So feel free to continue having that feeling, yeah? Let me just start, share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, good. Conducting a quality speech contest, right? First up is let's respect everyone's time and attention and effort. If you can, turn on your video. Of course, if your line doesn't allow, then yeah, no choice. Yeah, but I can see Mac, I can see Felix, I can see many people. Yeah. Secondly, please mute your mic unless you're speaking to everyone. There will be some time where I will ask some questions. You can unmute yourself. And let's try to minimize any potential interruptions. Last but not least, please enjoy the session. Yeah. My session is structured in such a way that I will definitely finish on time because the slides are ready, or I've already saved it. So the more technical part, actually, you are able to refer to them after if I cannot finish them all the slides on time. Yeah, this is how I structured it. There are two manuals that I am referring to. One is the online and hybrid contest best practices. Is already available. There's also the speech contest rulebook. The latest one is also available. So when you receive my slides, you are able to click on the link and download them as well. Yeah. The one for online and hybrid is like 14 or 15 pages. I have reduced them to just a couple of slides today. The speech contest rulebook is even longer. Yeah. So do refer to them. First one. First, let's have a breakout session. I'd like to listen to all of you. We have 6 person to a room. Please pick your presenter before you start your discussion. Don't pick your presenter at the end because you may not have the time and then you are out of the room and then you do not know who is going to present. Yeah. Brainstorm and decide just one thing, not 2 things, not 3 things, just one thing. Debate as much as you like. Which is the most significant change when we compare between a physical contest versus an online contest? For example, you may say physical contest means I need to spend time on traveling to the venue. Yeah, very true, right? Whereas if it's online, then you do not need to travel to the venue. So 6 person to a room, I think 5 minutes, 5 minutes, even though in the earlier stage I say 6 minutes, but yeah, let's do 5 minutes. I think is easy. I look at everyone is very experienced. So 5 minutes, 6 to a room, think and decide just on one thing which you think is the most significant change when we compare between a physical contest and online one. Okay, just open the rooms anytime you are the rooms are ready.
Hello,
Yes, Jinder.
Trainer Shan. So we are going to move to the breakout room now?
Yes, anytime you are ready.
Okay. Yep. The room is opened, then it will be automatically sent to the audiences to each room. There will be 6 audiences together in each room. So please accept to be moved out to the breakout room. Some of the room are there are 4 audiences. It is automatically assigned. So do you wish to continue with each breakout room? Please go ahead. Please advise.
So Master and Charles, I can see the room number 9, just only CP and Felix.
Zoom
number 9.
I think that's because a lot of people haven't accepted the join the room.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's okay if it's because they are not so familiar with the Zoom breakout room. It's okay. We just see who they come back in 5 minutes and you can see what are some of the ideas, because I'm aware that some may not be so familiar with the Zoom, right?
Okay, so can I just move them to room 1? There are 6 audiences already in room 1.
Yeah.
Okay, in room 2. Okay, I move.
And then Adeline, when we talk about humorous speech, right? In my first year, I joined the humorous speech contest. The chief judge did not smile and was so serious. Even from the first minute, I was already sweating.
You know, I would, I would not join a humorous speech. I joined one. There were 4 contestants, and they mentioned the top 3, and I wasn't the top 3, so it was not good. Yeah. So anyway, it is what it is. You know, it's a skill. It's not an easy. It's the hardest to me. That's the hardest part.
Yes.
But we're all
But-
here to learn. Yeah.
Yes.
Linda, I'm going to take my.
keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
alright.
Elaine, I'm here.
So, thank you, Charles. I'm so sorry I have to drop off. I have to go for lunch with my family.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn, so much for inviting me. I shared some of the resources in the chat. Feel free to download and then share that. That was a shorter version of the slides. I don't think they need to go through all my slides. So that just has the resources in the Zoom chat.
All right.
Thank you, Lynn.
Adeline.
Thank you,
Thank you
Noop.
so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. It's
Good
my
luck.
honor to welcome you all the times.
Okay, bye-bye.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Okay, moving people to
Yeah,
make
but
each
yeah.
room fulfilled of 6.
don't worry, China. It is fine. It's fine. I mean, if maybe they are not around or whatever, doesn't matter. We will just listen to those people who manage to brainstorm, and then we see whether how many things that they talk about I actually cover in the presentation, and if what they talk about I didn't cover, so I will try to cover as well.
Okay, that's good though. Charles, may I know whether you'd like to join the Zoom room or you just have them discussion among the team?
Yeah, it's okay. It's very simple question.
All right, thank you. And so Master, you did a very good job. This is your first time and then appreciate you. Well done. For example, Alex, he was in Seattle, I think. So this time maybe it's very late for him.
Yeah.
And we have some guests, which is not our member. So don't worry about that. Yes.
Yeah, no worries.
For example, today I have my friends Anusorn. He's live in Thailand and he's join today sections. Thank you so much to Toastmaster, not Toastmaster, Anusorn.
How many more minutes, Chandra?
Okay, so room 1, 2, 4, 5, 10 is full house, 6 members.
Oh yeah, I mean, how many more minutes do I think one or 2 more minutes, right? Should be closing soon.
Timekeeper, Tina.
The room would usually close by itself. It's in 5 minutes already. Otherwise, you can click close the room.
Oh, okay. So now is 10:15. So I close all the room now.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. What I saw is there will be another 50 seconds before the room closed.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
All the pictures I use in my PowerPoint are all from Toastmasters. So you can also find all these in the Toastmasters resources. I think they're all back, right?
Yeah.
Are they all back? Okay.
Yep, all is back to the main room.
Okay. Let's listen to the rooms that have managed to discuss and decided. Can we have like a room one who will tell us what are the most significant difference between a physical and an online contest?
Hi everyone, I'm Navy from
Hey.
Room One.
Hey.
Yes, it's my honor to represent Room One. So in our discussion, we come to the conclusion that is the feeling between online and physical contest, because we have done physical contests for many years and we have done so many speeches before, years before, but we just recently came to online presentation and contest. In online, we about to present to maybe more than 1,000 or 100,000 audiences, but we may not be able to see their reaction to make a proper change on time. And I think that's one of the most important. We're not able to receive the response timely.
Yeah, fully agree. So for the next speakers, just try to keep it to 1 or 2 sentences. What is the most significant change? Room 2. Do we have do we know who is in room 2? Maybe Pindara, who is in room 2? Because sometimes even myself, I do not know which room I'm in. You're on mute.
It is automatically assigned. Then I couldn't catch all the names. Please apologize.
Okay, no problem. So anyone has anything to share? Maybe we have two more sharing, and then we will start. The reason is because I like to see what are some of the things that you say, whether I'm covering it in the slides or not.
Hi, Felix from room 10.
Hello, Felix.
In our discussion, just give you short words. It's time management. If time management is simple. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And any more? Maybe just one more to share.
May I?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. When we do online, sometimes we cannot see the participant reaction. On other sides, it gives us opportunities to do something new. For example, myself, I can control the light and create effect that impact to the speed.
Yeah.
And like the speaker said, we can use like the tone of voice and create the new technique that help the participants to get more attention and make your speech more interesting. Back to you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Right. So that there are definitely differences between the online and physical contest or even contestants when you compete online or even when you compete physically on the venue, right? Just for everyone's information, as a judge, I do not get swayed by anything special which the Zoom contestants are able to do, whereas the physical contestants are not, or what the physical can do Zoom cannot, right? Is more focused on what are the judging criteria instead. So let me start by sharing. The first thing that we want to see the difference is the venue itself. Usually for physical is centralized. Yeah, everyone has to be at the same place. Online is typically technology centric. You can see today we use Zoom. Sometimes they may use any other media. Medium to access usually for physical is very minimal. Yeah, you are there anyway. For medium to access, everyone needs to have a medium to access when it comes to online. Right, food arrangement usually not needed. Try to get a lot of people to attend. Yes, please do try to get a lot of people to attend. Especially for online, you are able to get people from all the other countries as well, right? Winner trophies, please must prepare, because all the winners would love the actual trophy rather than just a photo or the image of the trophy. Printing of materials, is minimal. Publicity, Usually for physical, they would need to do also online publicity. Well, publicity, they will need to do physical as well, right? When you visit clubs, tell them about it. Visit clubs, tell them about it, right? Role players meal, physical, definitely meet. Online, I would say we still prepare for the officials actually, yeah? Even if sometimes it's not immediate, but yeah, we still do. Token of appreciation, yes, both online and physical also. And last but not least, contestant certs, please prepare them as well, yeah? These are some of the overview about the differences between the physical and online, yeah? In terms of the role players needed, actually, generally it's almost the same, right? Organizing chair to have the overall planning, or have the overall execution. We have contest chair. Typically, it will be respective contests, right? So if you have two contests, there should usually be two contest chairs. Toastmasters of the day, multimedia masters. Actually, when it comes to online, everyone, multimedia masters become very important. Yeah. Some of us call them Zoom master, but actually they are multimedia master because it does not need to be Zoom alone, right? It can be any other medium, right? And multimedia masters actually does a lot, so you cannot have one. 3 is probably the minimum that I can think of. The more, the better, because the coordination and the things to do are a lot, right? For example, the breakout rooms, recording. Just now, I noticed we also started recording a little bit later than after the event. So for a contest, actually, the recording has to start on time, right? Because you need to record all the contestants. It's not like I start after the first contestant. You just can't do that, right? Photo taking, and last but not least, the marketing communications people. These are very, very important. And usually the marketing communications people, they are not doing this role by themselves. They are usually working with the area director. They are usually working with the excos. They are usually working with the district teams in order to tell more about the contest as well. Yeah. If I do speak too fast, let me know. Yeah. I will not talk a lot about the judges, but generally the chief judge is definitely just one. Yeah? There cannot be two chief judges. Tiebreaker judge. The judges is 5577. That means club level all the way to district level. Yeah, 5577. 5 judges, 7 judges, and 7 judges. But if you ask me, as someone who has been an area director, a division director as well, I always have more than the minimum number. I always do, right? The reason is very simple. You want to manage the possibility or the probability that one or two of the judges couldn't make it, right? Yeah, of course, there are people who say, okay, I will have some backup judges. Actually, just get them as your judge. Doesn't need to be backup. You can have 9, you can have 11. Nothing to stop you, right? The only thing is probably the logistics, because you need to take 11 ballots rather than from 9, for example. Yeah? Timer 2, ballot counters 2, or district level is 3. Test speaker is 1 plus a backup. Yeah, just in case. Yeah. And actually, if you look at all the contests, right? Why beyond just to help the contestants have the avenue to do their best to improve? Actually, it's also an avenue for all of us to learn leadership, everyone, right? Because if you look at many organizations, usually, right, the general manager would have a lot of powers. But the truth is, when it comes to contest, the contest chair may not, the organizing chair may not have so much power because they can't reward, right? This is where leadership comes in, yeah? So organizing chair preparation must be early, and of course, follow-up must be very, very closely. This person, unfortunately and fortunately, should be someone very organized, everyone. That's why it's called organizing chair. Yeah, otherwise they will call it disorganizing chair. Yeah. Contest chair, please know the rules. Remember just now the 2 books, please read both as well. Yeah, contest chair. Toastmaster of the day, understand, know the agenda by heart. Yeah, look at the time, look at the whole day what is happening. If you need to try to make it faster. Otherwise, if it's too fast, you can slow it down, right? Those kinds of things are very important. Multimedia masters, unfortunately, there will always be unknowns. Unfortunately, right? Many things will be happening out of your expectation. Be prepared, yeah? Always be prepared. Marketing and communication, stay focused on the benefits of the contest, everyone, yeah? Don't just say, for example, we have this contest. No, right? You can say something, witness the new champions that will be coming up, example, right? Or learn so that one day you can be a champion too, for example, right? You don't just say, come and listen to a speech contest. No, yeah? Think about it. And all the officials, remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So show empathy, show care. If some members are a little slow, help them, right? This is where leadership really, really shows, yeah? Definition of online contest, I think online contest is where everyone participates online, right? That this is not hybrid, this is not physical, yeah? And contestants competing online must use the equipment that they obtain by themselves. The district doesn't give them any equipment. All contestants and officials must participate in the contest live in real time. Yeah, if you like, you can live stream, but you can also stream it at a later date. Yeah. All briefings, rehearsal must be conducted online. This is an online contest anyway. Choose an appropriate online platform which is easily accessible or free. Yeah, I think Zoom is usually used quite often. Yeah, ensure the platform could support the number of audience members you expect. Yeah, timer should cover their camera lens so that only the background color is shown. Yeah, so this is quite a good thing, because sometimes if you are showing yourself and then the background is behind, only 50% or 40% of the background that can be seen, right? So people may not see the color. Yeah. Chosen platform should cater to different contest requirements. For example, sometimes it needs breakout room for certain contests. Yeah. And platform chosen must allow the host to mute and unmute contestants. Yeah, actually, this is very important. Many times in a physical contest, we know who is speaking, but in an online contest, sometimes we may not be able to identify who is speaking on time, and then this person have some interruptions. Yeah. Okay, and the platform chosen should be allowing renaming of participants, and judges especially should come in earlier and rename themselves and also off their video. Yeah. What could go wrong during online contest? What could go wrong during online contest? This is where you type a little bit in the chat box. Just one word, 2 words, 1 sentence. What could go wrong during online contest? Just now we said expect the unexpected, right? So what could go wrong? Or many of you have not gone to any online contest. Oh, connection, yes, totally, fully agree. Internet lagging, oh yeah. The internet, the connection, breakout room trouble, yeah. Yeah, you don't know how come the breakout sign wasn't shown to you. Yeah, definitely. Yes, Mega. Camera off, yeah, couldn't on the camera. The other day I had this problem as well. Background noise, yes, fully agree, right? And you do not know who is causing the background noise. That's a problem, yeah? Anything else? Mute, yeah, mute and unmute, yeah? Sometimes the speaker wants to start speaking, but he or she could not unmute himself or herself. Contest chair disappears. Yeah, so if contest chair disappears, the organizing chair had to do something about it, right? Yeah, take leadership. Otherwise, the area director or division director should try and save the situation. Contestant drops out. Yes, of course. This one, Mega, usually may happen. Yeah, but they will be given some time to come back. Yeah, to reconnect themselves. Yeah, blackout. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely possible, right? Yeah. Okay. So everyone, you know all these things that can happen, that could go wrong, right? So be prepared. Yeah, be prepared for it. And one thing which we should be doing is based on what you have just typed in, right? Always test the platform and ensure it's working well before the day of the contest, right? Especially if you look at the platform itself, right? Sometimes the contestant, when they test, they are able to on their video because there's just 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, right? But when on the contest day, there may be 20 people, you know, and the video suddenly couldn't work, example, right? So always ask them in advance, have they used their line before in a hall full of people? If not, then they can test it earlier, for example, yeah? The manual says you can conduct more contests. I think that is also possible, but it will take a little bit of effort, yeah? Pinning, spotlighting, yeah? So all these are very important. And allow contest the ability to pin timer, yeah? Verify that all participants are able and ready to use an online platform, especially during your preparation, during planning, right? Share all the tutorials in advance. Please do not share it only on the contest day. Yeah, so as usual, everyone should be muted, yeah, and the host should be able to control this. This is something which we have to do in advance, a process of how you will respond if a contestant experiences technical difficulty. For example, as soon as a contestant have a difficulty, what should they do? Who should they contact, right? Who should try and contact them? Who should then inform the contest chair? All these must be planned, must be communicated in advance, yeah? And of course, the chief judge has to know all this as well. Yeah, and then the chief judge, this is something for the chief judge to decide how long the contest will be paused if there is an event of a technical issue, right? Usually the typical time is 10 minutes, but still chief judge may select more or less. Yeah, this is not a 10 minutes is the compulsory thing. Yeah. The contestant will pick up the speech from the point where they lost connection, and usually the contest chair is the one to point out. So contest chairs, please listen to the contestants very attentively. Yeah, because you really need to help the contestant if something goes wrong. Yeah. And if a contestant is unable to rejoin, right? No matter how many minutes they cannot join, the contest must continue, everyone. Yeah, the judges will just judge the speech based on the portion of the speech they heard. That's all. Yeah, judges viewing online should have a quick way to reach a chief judge if they experience difficulties hearing or seeing a contestant. So if you ask me, there should be a chat group, for example, right? Some people recommend email, but I think a chat group will be much better. Plus, please have the handphone right beside you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The reason is because online, everything happens very fast. There is just no time to lose where you can do it like a physical, where you can tell people easily. Yeah. Okay. And a chief judge, if you see any issue with the contestant audio, you can signal to contest chair to pause the contest, for example. Yeah. Okay. Try to have backup officials as well. Yeah. Don't worry about all these things that I'm sharing. All these are in the book. In fact, the book has much far longer writing. What I have here is a shorter version, concise version, right? Protest in advance. If there are any protests, let them know how to protest, right? Also establish a process for submitting ballots and time record sheets so that everyone is aware how they are going to submit it. In a physical contest, it's very easy. You just put up your hand, right? But yeah, in the online world, need to determine how. And I think one of the best way is still what you call a direct communication, the chat. Yeah. Of course, you do not share your judging sheets with all the other judges. You just send it to the chief judge, the ballot counter. Okay, briefing is definitely conducted online. Yeah, and ensure judges have all the necessary forms right online. Do not assume the judge is experienced, therefore they have the forms. Please send the forms to them in advance. Get them to say, yes, I accepted, I received. Yeah. Train the timers. Very important. Timer must understand that what they should do. Yeah, and ensure timers are aware of all the circumstances. Just now we mentioned these circumstances. For example, signaling device, stopwatch fails, or even timer loses connection. That's the reason why we have 2 timers there. Yeah, and please do not have just one timing device, right? You should have another one just in case. Yeah. Drawing is always done in advance. Yeah, provide the forms to the contestants via online so that they can submit their forms. All the forms are here. Yeah, all the links are here. If you're planning to record your contest, ensure contest also sign the video release form, which we will need anyway. Yeah. Okay. All online contestants, tell them that they should have a backup device as well. Yeah. So I noticed that the timer has already take away her red color. That means I'm already out of time, and I can see her looking very serious at me right now. So I will just continue. Yeah. Speaking area. Actually, this was mentioned a little bit just now by our first speaker, right? The most important point is that the contestant themselves can be seen, and always ensure that every contestant would be almost standing away from the screen on a consistent manner, right? You do not want some contestant showing just the face, some contestant the whole body, some contestant half body, right? If it's half body, everyone half body. Example, yeah. Have the contestant check their audio, yeah. Make sure the microphone is clear. Okay, yeah. So like I mentioned, everyone should be consistent. No one should be standing too far or too near. Yeah, and yeah, the device, camera equipment. Actually, online, a lot of things are about equipment. Yeah, just so test it. And remember, if you're a contestant and you're using a notebook, please restart your computer in the morning. Yeah, before the contest, because sometimes the cache may be a problem. The RAM may not be enough. Yeah, just restart the whole computer. Okay, all these you can read by yourself. And after the contest, just make sure you delete all the digital files. Submit videos if for district level international contest speech. Yeah. As usual, do the mock contest or do the rehearsal before the contest itself. Yeah. And last but not least, I finally come to the page where I can achieve a sigh of relief. Contests actually build better communicators and leaders. Yeah. And remember, we are in Toastmasters. So we improve life through better communication and leadership via Toastmasters. Contest is just another avenue for us to do so, right? Let's continue doing that as a team. Thank you very much. I think it's thank you slide now. Okay. Back to you, Srirov. Can't hear, sorry. Everyone, sometimes we may have a club contest organizing chair. who wants also to be a contestant. While there are no restrictions on that, but it would be best for the organizing chair not to be a contestant. If he or she wants to be a contestant, try not to be a contest organizing chair, because there may be some unfair exposure. Yeah, give more chance to all the other role players to also play a role. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, our second trainer. Could you hear me well? Sorry, the internet cut off.
Yes, very well.
Yes, thank you so much. So here's, maybe you have seen the screen. So this is the information about District 97 will conduct 3 speeches contests, which are provisional speech contest, table topic contest, and evaluation contest. So this is for your information. So this is for your information. And now it's time for our third trainers. Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Charles, for your such a great sharing, especially for the organizer team, that they are gonna know what they should prepare. And this, I believe that this is really helpful. And now moving on to our third trainers. So our last and special trainer, distinguished Toastmaster CP, he is the member of the Toastmaster International for 11 years, 2 currently serving our District 102 Program Quality Director, and 3 District Finance Financial 2019 to 2020. 4 judged various contests at club, area, division, district, and world championship public speaking semi-final. I'm really appreciate that he is here and going to share with us about the interesting topic, how to conduct a successful contest. I believe that this is really the most important things that all we would love to hear to become the successful one. So without any further ado, let me invite distinguished Toastmaster CP, how to conduct a successful contest. How to conduct a successful contest, distinguished Toastmaster CP.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, Srirov. Good morning, everyone, fellow Toastmasters. By the way, my topic is not how to conduct successful contests, though. It is behind the scene contest judging. That's the last part. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker, Adeline, and our second speaker, Charles, has talked about how to be contestants, how to organize contests. All these people are actually in front of the audience. They are seen. Because contestants, you have to perform. The organizing chair, you have to deal with a lot of people. However, we have a group of the unsung hero, which working from behind the scene to make sure that the contest is successful. These are the group of people called judges. And if you have been a judge before, let's give you a round of applause. And before I move on, I would like to have some interaction with all of you. Can you see my screen now? Please take out your mobile phone and then scan the QR code. Because we have a question here. Why do we organize speech contests? Scan the QR code and you type your answer. Let's hear from all of you. To challenge our members. Yes. To learn. That's for sure. I think Adeline and Charles has mentioned about it. Provide a platform for members to grow and experience. Good. Accelerate learning. to find the champion. Yes, we are always in doing that. Improve, grow, and learn. Follow TI guidelines. Yes, we have our contest and we are all comply to the TI rule books. To win myself, that's interesting. Inspiring. Use skills, learn. Yes. One of Toastmasters education. All right, I shall stop here. I believe you can see the other screen now. Good, thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the answers that provided by all of you. Why do we organize speech contests? Yes, and in Toastmasters, the purpose of speech contests are many in these three directions. We provide an opportunity to practice competitive speaking. You have been learning in your club meetings for so long. It is time to showcase, and that's where we have speech contests. And we provide interesting educational programs for members and the public. We invite non-members to join and watch the contest so that they know, actually, for one to be able to speak very confidently in front of an audience. Participate in contests is one of the ways to learn the fastest way. And we also provide opportunity to learn by observing proficient speakers. If I'm not ready for contest yet, at least I'll come and take a look how people speak. How do they perform in such a competitive environment? And as a judge, we always have an obligation. We have obligation to who? Number one, to the contestants. They have practiced so long, they have practiced so hard. So it is our job to make sure that we do our role very professionally. So we should carry out our duty as a judge on a very professional way to judge the performance of every contestant. And we also have obligation to our organization, to Toastmasters International, because remember, one of our core values, excellence. We always strive to achieve excellence, not only in our Toastmasters meeting, but also excellent, to be very excellent in terms of speech contest. And World Public Speaking Competition is one of the contests that is very reputable in terms of Toastmasters International. And to the audience, they spend their time to attend a contest. So they deserve a very good, fair, unbiased judging from all of us as judge. Last but not least, we have an obligation to ourselves as a judge, because it is also a commitment for us to improve, because by watching various speakers, contestants, it is our job to decide the best among the best. So what are the types of contests that we are going to have? Earlier on, our Toastmaster today has announced District 97P is going to have 3 contests. If I remember, it is provisional speech contest, table topics, and evaluation. Beside these 3, what other contests are available or is official in Toastmasters International? Can anyone tell us? I see Felix on the screen. Felix, do you have an answer for this? No. All right, don't worry. These are the 5 contests that are available, or so-called official contests in Toastmasters International. Hotels is one that where I would say rare contest in this part of the world, but in other countries, other districts, some of them they do. I think in District 51, there are a few clubs, they conduct tall tales contests on a yearly basis. And the contest levels, Adeline has mentioned earlier on, there are 7 levels, all start from club, move on to the area, division, district, region, quarterfinals, semifinals, and World Championship, which held in the Toastmasters International Convention. Contest guidelines, as per mentioned by our speaker Charles, is always a guideline. That's the one. Sometimes in our terms, we call it our Bible of speech contest. Always remember to refer to this, because any questions, you should be able to find an answer. And how do we carry out our duty as chief judges, ballot counters, as well as timer, is all stated in this rule book. And one very important thing, always keep looking for the latest version, because Toastmasters International announce or release the latest update every year. I think it should come around February or March, a few months after the World Championship is concluded. Then it will release the latest version. And we will always see the World Championship, the champions picture on the latest rulebook. And in the latest one, the latest rulebook, there are a number of changes. I picked up some of them. I believe it is important for District 97P. So I will go through that. Number 1, it is the speech contest policy. If you notice on the left, it is the one that before 1st of July 2022, and in the middle is the new rules, and on the right is the explanation. It says, Toastmasters International recognizes and supports the following official speech contests. There's a 5 that we talk about, and it is also the video contest for undistricted clubs. So no other contest types or showcase can be conducted by the district. This now including the provisional districts. That means we cannot have a district level debates contest, or we cannot have a district level storytelling contest, because now provisional district also need to comply to the official contest. And the next one, district must conduct the international speech contest, and for provisional district, that is called provisional speech contest. And unfortunately, this contest does not go beyond district at the moment. When you form a new district, then your representative can participate in the World Championship. And all these, the provisional speech contest will have to follow the international speech rules or regulations. Same thing, it will start from club level and move on to area, division, and district level. So far, so good? All right. So contests must originate at club level. And I'm not sure about District 97P. In District 102 or even District 5180, some of our clubs, they do not have club contests. However, they can send their representative to participate in the area contest and move on to division as well as district level. Okay, this is very important. As the chief judge, when we want to verify, even for contest Toastmaster or contest chair, usually when we want to conduct a club contest, for example, all our members must be eligible to contest. And what are the criteria for a member to be eligible to contest? There are a number of them. First of all, the member must be a member in good standings. That means they are a paid member. Number two, the club must also be in good standing. If a club is not in good standing, I believe they cannot conduct their contest or they cannot send representatives to the area level and above. And for international speech contests specifically, back then, for members who follow the traditional education system, that means we have competent communicator, competent leader, advanced communicator, bronze, silver, and gold, then DTM. If they have not achieved their DTM award under the traditional education system, and they did not start, or they have started the pathway learning experience, but they have not achieved level 1 and 2, they are not eligible to contest in international speech contest. So in TI website, there is a button for us to check the eligibility of a member. And this check or this option does not provide us with this information. So the contest chair as well as the chief judge have to pay extra attention on checking the eligibility of members who are participating in the speech contest, especially on the provisional speech contest as well as the international speech contest. So in other words, we should encourage our senior members who have not started on pathways or they have not achieved level 1 and 2, they should start progressing so that they are eligible for contest. And this one is also very important, eligibility to be a contest official. That means whether you can be a chief judge by the counter timer. If you are a candidate for elected district leaders positions, what are elected district leader positions? The trio, district director, program quality director, club growth director, the division director. These are the candidates that to be elected, or appointed regional advisor role, international director, candidate for international director. These are the roles that they cannot be the contest officials if they are the candidate. Some of our leaders here, that you should have received notice, or if you check on website, the TI website, the international director nomination has started and you have a list of them. So those are the candidates. When are we calling ourselves as candidate? Every year, we have the DLC, District Leadership Committee. When they announce the date of the nomination and you have submitted or someone submitted the nomination for you, that's the point that you are a candidate. And that's the point that you should not take up the contest official role until the election is over. So pay attention on this part. And in terms of the speech subject and preparation, contestants must not reference another contestant or a speech presented by another contestant during their speech from the platform. See, the phrase "from the platform" has been taken out because there were confusions. Usually in an event or in a platform, we have two contests together. Like currently what is going on in District 102, we have humorous speech and evaluation speech going on concurrently. So on one event or one so-called contest, we will first have our humorous speech contest first, then followed by evaluation contest. Back then, there was a confusion that when this rule says that the contestants cannot reference other contestants, we thought it is also inclusive of the contestants in evaluation contest, for example, during the humorous speech contest. So it has been clarified. The reference only within the contest itself. For example, Tina. Tina is contesting in humorous speech contest, but not in evaluation. So during evaluation contest, some contestants, they can actually reference Tina's name because she is not contesting in evaluation contest, and that does not go against the rule. Clear? All right. And in terms of general procedure, when the last contestant finishes speaking, we usually have a moment of silence until the ballot counters and the chief judge leave the room. So now, if you are chief judge, please do one more gesture, notify the contest Toastmaster that all ballots are collected and they can resume or they can proceed to the next items on the agenda, right? So there must be some complaints, so-called, that, how come chief judge never let us know and then it disappear from the room? So this how this thing comes about. And timing of speeches, this is very interesting. We take one of the example, let's say provisional contest. Usually for a international speech contest, the timing is 5 to 7 minutes. But for time disqualification, if the contestant does not speak up to 4 minutes and 30 seconds, or he or she speaks more than 7 minutes and 30 seconds, it will be disqualified, correct? But the rules now change slightly because when we use our stopwatch or when we use the mobile phone, there's always a millisecond at the back. 7 minutes, 30 seconds, maybe 30 milliseconds. So does that consider as overtime? Back then, it was considered as overtime and will be disqualified. Now, the rule says that as long as it has not reached 31 seconds, so we will do away with the milliseconds. If we have a timing of 7 minutes, 30 seconds, and 80 milliseconds, that means these contestants is still considered as within time and will not be disqualified. So this is one of the very important notes that we will have to take note, and it applies to others contests like evaluation, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, or 31 seconds now. Paper topics, 2 minutes, 31 seconds. As long as it's not reaching 31 seconds, they are considered speaking within time. So it says here, timers must not consider fraction of a second. A contestant is not qualified until their time, which the next second, all right? So these are some of the points that I extracted out from the changes. So for you to know all the I think there are about 14 changes, up to 28 pages. You can download it from Toastmasters International's website. So as the chief judge, what do we do? So before the contest, we have to look for our role players. Like what Charles mentioned, for a club contest, we will need to have at least 5 judges, and we always encourage to have more, especially for online contests, because you will never know which judge their line can drop anytime. So once the line drops for one speaker, this judge cannot continue to, or we cannot take his ballot into counting because he missed out one contestant. But the moment by the time he or she comes back, we may have proceeded with the next contestants really. So always have extra judges, and with online contests, I think it is easier for us because now we can reach out to any Toastmasters worldwide to invite them as the judge. Yeah. And then for ballot counters, as well as timers. And also very important, you must have a tie-breaking judge. When you have a tie from all the ballots from judges, these tie-breaking judge ballots come into a very important role to decide how to break the tie. And like what Charles mentioned, we have to conduct judges briefing for all the role players, voting judges, counter, and timers. One question here, can we do the briefing for judges, for voting judges and tie-breaking judge together? Yes, I see someone that's waving his hand, cannot. Yes, tie-breaking judge is only known by chief judge or known to chief judge. Even the judges, among judges, they should not know who is the tie-breaking judge. So have to pay attention on this if you are serving as the chief judge. You should do a separate briefing with the tie-breaking judge. And you should collect the ballots from this tie-breaking judge yourself as the chief judge. So these are the activities that you will do to do briefing. Okay, it is very important for the chief judge to know the speaking orders, to get the speaking order of contestants from the contest chair or from the contest toastmaster, because you need to inform all the judges so that they can prepare, they can fill their judging ballots in advance. Provide them with the judges' guide and ballot. Always remind them to go through the rule book. As a chief judge, no matter how many club contests you are judging, no matter how many area contests, every time you may have the same team of judges, you may have some of them in some of the contests. Always do briefing and always remind them about the rule book. So this is my usual routine. I will send them this list of documents before every contest, even though I have seen the same familiar faces that has been following me to judge to many contests until they say, can you stop telling can you stop telling us all this over and over? I say cannot. This is the role as a chief judge to tell you, because at certain time we may have new judges. We may even have new judges, so-called, they are really new member and they are now learning to be a judge. So it is very important for us to go through a very detailed briefing to all of them. And always encourage the judges to sit close to the stage. Of course, online, you don't have this problem. If for physical, we always encourage them to sit close. And also, the briefing will also be done to the ballot counters as well as the timers. Okay, because some of the timers, they are new, and in club meetings we are so used to ring the bell, press the button of buzzers. So these cannot be done during the contest. So we have to keep reminding them of this thing. And during the contest, we should collect the time record sheet from the timer. And judges' eligibility. If you want to be a judge, can you be a judge or not in the first place? These are the things that you need to comply. First of all, again, you have to be a member. You have to be a paid member in good standing. Okay. For an area, division, and district contest, not only that you have to be a member in good standing, but you have to be a paid member for at least 6 months. You cannot get a new member to judge an area contest when he or she just joined for 3 months. That is not eligible, yeah. And he or she should have completed at least 6 speeches in the competent communication manual. That's the traditional education system. Or he or she should also have completed level 1 and 2. And if you are judging on region quarterfinals, semifinals, as well as the World Championship, you have to be a paid member for 6 months. And you also must be at least ACB, ACS, or ACG if you are following the traditional education system, or you should have completed at least one path. And you should judge at least an area contest before. So all this, how do we know? That's where the core value of integrity come into picture. We have to be very honest to the chief judge. I have judged area contest before. I have judged district contest before. That's why we can do the higher level. And finding judges, one of the most interesting thing that we will be able to do, especially now for our district, a lot of us are coming back to physical contest. Where do we find our judges? Like Charles mentioned, there are certain members they cannot contest. Candidates, the current district officers, they cannot contest. So we will always reach out to all these people to be our judges. Some of the division, they even like a buddy areas, you know, I will help in your area contest and you will help in my area contest. That's how they share resources, so-called, and they will have a pool of judges that they can share among them. And having said that, now coming to the role of a judge. We judge in a contest. So the question here is judging similar to evaluation or evaluating? You may type in the chat box if you think it is not. No, yes, Tanu. All right. We always say judging is different from evaluating. Why do we say that? There are a few perspectives that we can look into. Number one, for the aspects of objective. Judging is purely based on the judging ballot form. You know, we have the criteria that Adeline shown just now. There are certain criteria that we need to go with that. Whereby evaluation, you should have a speech objective. There's a purpose statement. So there's the material for us to refer to whether you are speaking according to the objective of that speech or that project speech or not. So contest is not delivering a project speech. So there's no such objective for us to follow. So our point, our objective is to strictly follow the judging criteria in the ballot form. So from the perspective of function, as the judge, our role is to pick a winner. At the end of the contest, we will submit to our chief judge first, second, third place if we have 3 or more contestants. Whereby evaluation is to encourage the speaker to help other evaluators. All right. And from the perspective of outcome, we get to help this contest to come up with the winner and to represent the club, the area, or the division to move up to the next level. So that's the outcome of a contest and the role from a judge. And evaluation is to help the members to improve. And that is, if you can see, there's interaction between evaluators and speaker. But there should be no interaction in terms of judging judges and contestants. That means we do not discuss with the judges or with the contestants, you should have done this, you should have performed that a little bit more. So we don't discuss on that. That's what we say here. Judging is always controversial and sometimes hostile. You know, if the result is not according to what audience expect, there may be a lot of discussion going on, but as judge, please keep cool and do not say anything. Evaluation is a matter of appreciation and encouragement. Okay? And in terms of justification, as a judge, you don't have to explain why you choose 1, 2, 3. You just submit your ballot. And for evaluation, it's an obligation to tell the speaker why I evaluate you like as such, why I give you such suggestion to improve further for your future speeches. So that's a difference between judging and evaluation. And of course, there are a lot of barriers or there are a lot of challenges to be a judge. Number one, first or last speaking order. To contestants, you always think, oh my, I am the first speaker. It's gone case. So as judge, we have to take away this mentality. We do not score so high for the first speaker. We should eventually or gradually score higher towards the later speakers. That's not true. And for my personal experience, I was the first speaker in one of the district contests, and I was a third place winner. So judges really do their job. They judge individual speaker individually without comparing. And there must be some thinking that, let's help the underdog. We also don't do that. Yeah. Halo effect. We should do away with halo effect. I am a fan of Liverpool Football Club. If these contestants keep promoting Manchester United and keep talking bad about Liverpool, so do I need to feel very angry and mark these contestants down? That's called halo effect. And we should not have that. Whatever it is, we should be very neutral and purely judging by the performance of this particular contestant. And we should evaluate based on the speech development, whether there's a value carried or delivered to the audience or not. And of course, reverse halo. Second time around, I'm sure in some of the contests you see, wow, this last term's district champion, now I'm contesting with him. I don't have to contest really because she'll win. So we also, as a judge, we will not have that influence by the usual champions contesting in the same contest with those newbies. Because we always mention, we should judge purely based on the performance of that contest. And there's no such thing called give someone else a chance. Oh, he already 75 years old. Let's give him a chance to move to the district level. Also, no such thing. Yeah, 75 years old is the same. They are on the same platform with those that 35 years old. They are on the same fairness. They should deserve the professional judging from us. And one, unfamiliar judging forms. If you are invited to be in the panel of judges, please go through the judging forms. Please go through the rule books very detailed so that you know whether you should lodge a protest or not, whether you should, how you should mark a particular contest. And may I have a show of hand, how many of you have been a judge before in this room? Many of you. When you sign on the judges eligibility form, did you read through the entire form? Or any of you have actually gone through it? I'm sorry, me, myself, at the beginning stage, I actually did not read. But towards the end, yes, we should read the judges' code of ethics. This is very important. Whatever I mentioned earlier on is actually stated in the judges' code of ethics in the form itself. For example, judges will not consider any contestant's club, area, division, district, region affiliation. That's why when we project a slide, we only project contestant's name. We do not put their education title. We do not put where or which club are they from, because we do not want all this to affect the judges. And as a judge, we do not consider a speech whether it is overtime or undertime, because we have the timers to take care of this. All we need to do is to judge based on the judging criteria stated in the judging form. And judges will not be the member of the same club as any contestants. That's where the core value comes into play. If I find that Felix is my good friend and he is contesting, I so happen to be the judge of that contest. If I think that I cannot judge very fairly, I'll tell the chief judge, can I be excused? Because I have my very good friend is contesting then, and I do not want to, I cannot do the bias well, so that I want to excuse myself. So be very honest about that. And judges should have no conflict of interest with any of the contestants that would cause bias. All right. So that's the code of ethics that we should always adhere to. And these are the judging form. I believe Adeline also showed quite a number of them. If you look at it, they are quite similar for speech contest, except on the left, it is for humorous speech. You have one more element called audience response. And audience response on online contest is always a very challenging item for us to judge, because we can't see the audience. We are always asked to hide non-participants or non-video participants. Usually we will have only the timer and the contestants on the screen. How do we judge on that? So that will come back to yourself, whether you find that humorous speech is funny or it triggers your funny bones. So it's purely, again, based on yourself. And some of the contests, they allow the audience to put on the emoji. So then you can see whether the audience responds well or not on that particular humorous speech. Otherwise, it is quite similar to international speech contest judging criteria. You have content, mainly or half of the score goes to content. And then the delivery will take 30%. Finally, the language will take 20%. So like what Adeline mentioned, speech, the content is always the most important part. Whether the structure is good or not. For example, a contestant can tell you a series of stories or a series of jokes. Is it a good humorous speech or is it an inspiring speech as an international speech? We have to see in terms of the structure, the opening, the body, and the conclusion. Does it wow you or not when you first start speaking? And how do you mark on that? And the series of stories that this contestant tells, does it connect or not? Connect to the message that you want to deliver, the effectiveness, And is it that the transition is good or not? So we have to judge based on that. And of course, the speech value, that's where Adeline mentioned the message, At the end of the day, the story and the message, does it jive together? And even the delivery, the body languages, the vocal variety, whether it is all synced together or not. That's why we always mention move with purpose. Some of the speeches that we see, it can be very dramatic, but does it going according to the points that you want to deliver or not? So those are the judging points that we need to look into. Of course, the appropriateness. Some I've seen or I've heard, some of the contestants, they even use foul language. Is it good or no good? So we need to judge. Is it a conversation that these contestants met during his experience? If that is, perhaps this foul language that he used is actually relevant in the sense. Otherwise, we may need to reconsider that. Evaluation contest, again, 4 criteria. The analytical quality. What is considered good analytical quality? Because when you analyze a speech, a test speech, we will always mention, or we will always say, your body language is good. that is not considered as a good analytical quality. Because when I say your body language is good, I must prove, or I must provide, or I must justify why I say it good. So if the contestants can tell the test speech is good in certain area and why he says so, then we will give them marks or we will score them. Also on recommendation, you should improve on your vocal variety. Is that a good recommendation or not? So again, after you suggest, perhaps you should demonstrate, or perhaps you should provide in a little bit in depth into how or why you said they should improve in terms of vocal variety. At certain point, when you feel sad, your voice should be low and slow, for example. If the contestants can highlight this to the test speaker, perhaps that could be a good recommendation. And summation. I used to hear some of the chief judge saying that you must observe whether the contestant will say this phrase or not. All in all, or in conclusion, if they say this, you score high. Is that the case? Actually, it's no, though. Yeah, we need to judge whatever analytical points that the contestants mentioned, also the suggestions. Did he sum it up at the end of his evaluation speech or not? He spent, let's say, 2.5 or 3 minutes by telling all this and use the last 20-30 seconds to tell the test speaker, in conclusion, these are the good points and you should look into this. That I would say is a good summation and we should score them high. Yeah. This is an international speech, almost the same as the one that we've seen in humorous, except there's no audience response. Last but not least will be the table topics as well. If you notice, speech development and effectiveness is always there for all 3 speech contests except the evaluation. And the delivery will always cover physical and the voice. So for those is going to contest, take in what Adeline mentioned, work on it, because on online speech, movement has been restricted because you are only on that particular frame in front of the Zoom. So try to apply like what Adeline mentioned, front and back, to project perhaps the time difference. When you move backward, we are talking about history. When you move forward, you're talking about your future plan and so on, for example. Yeah. So there's a state management that we need to judge. Yeah. And the facial expression play a very important role. So the judge will usually pay a lot of attention into facial expression, especially on online contests, and the voice as well. Yeah. So all in all, as a judge, you should always be accurate, be fair, be trustworthy. Trustworthy means that the contestants don't have to worry whether you are experienced or whether you are not, whether you are knowledgeable or not. We should always read through the judging criteria. We should always read through the rule book. Always be a good listener. I noticed in some of the evaluation contests, when a test speaker was delivering a test speech, they did not pay attention. So actually that's very wrong. We should pay equally good attention to as the contestants, because we also need to take down the notes. We also need to do the evaluation on the test speaker. That's why when the contestants do their evaluation, we will know whether it is a scripted evaluation or not. Some of the contestants, if you have experience, no matter which test speaker come on stage, the evaluation will be the same, especially opening and closing. So we code that as a scripted evaluation, and we should pay a lot of attention on that. And be consistent. Personally, for me, if I'm a judge, I'll always start with certain points before, for every contestant. If I start with point 3, then be consistent. all the contestants, you should start at 0.3 for a criteria, for example, physical. So we do not do contestant number 1, I start with 0.3, contestant number 2, I start with 0.5. So that's considered not consistent. At the end of the day, your score may be high, on the high side for all contestants, but it does not matter. At the end of the day, this score will still help you to pick first, second, and third place. All right. Timer, I have seen green light, I've seen yellow light. Are we on time now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Protest. One of the very important part in being chief judge or judges is protest. So who can protest? Can someone tell us? All right. Actually, protest is only limited to judges and contestants only. And protest should be lodged before the contest ends. All right. Recently, we have a discussion. When can a protest be lodged? Some said before the result announced. Some said before the contest adjourned. Yeah. So if you read through the rule book, it says that before the contest adjourned. If we have 2 contests in one event, for example, humorous and evaluation contest, do it in one event, we will have the contest first, humorous, and then evaluation. After that, followed by announcement of result. Yeah. So I would take that as long as the contest chair, as long as before the contest chair announced the adjournment of the contest, someone can still lodge a protest, which means after the result has announced, if someone have approved to lodge a protest, they can still lodge a protest and the result will be changed as long as the contest is not adjourned. Yeah. So have to bear this in mind. It's a slight difference compared. So in the contest Toastmaster script, usually we will hear this at the end of the first contest. Now I'm pleased to announce the contest adjourned. So the word adjourned, you may need to replace with a more appropriate word. So it's temporarily finished or temporarily concluded. We will wait for the results because at the end of the day, the entire event is still not adjourned yet. All right. So protest is limited to eligibility. Like we mentioned earlier on, whether you are a paid member, and from area contest above, whether your club is in good standing or not, that's very important. Now, for international speech, or in your case, provisional test speech, speech contest, the members have to be either DTM or completed level 1 and 2 for any path. All right. Originality, it says you must be substantially original, so that it should be less than 25%. A contestant may, throughout the entire speech, 5 minutes of them, you keep quoting quotes. John Maxwell say this, Dr. Ralph C. Smedley say this throughout. So is that a ground for protest? I believe it is. If it's, 5 minutes of the speech are talking about the quotes, then the judges may lodge a protest. Also on reference of the contestant's name, contestant's title, the contest speech title, as well as the content. But when we lodge a protest, it doesn't mean that it is disqualified right away. So the chief judge will call all the judges into the room and discuss about why this judge lodged a protest or why this contestant lodged a protest. After the discussion, we will call the contestants in and he will be given an opportunity to justify why he or she should not be disqualified based on the protest. But at the end of the day, it is still the judge's vote to decide whether he or she will be disqualified. So a question here, when we receive a protest, who are the judges that you should call in to do discussion? Do you include your tie-breaking judge? Tina nod her head. Actually, no, yeah. Because as mentioned earlier, the tie-breaking judge should be anonymous throughout. Even judges should not know who he or she is. That's why during the discussion on a protest, tie-breaking judge is not considered. His or her vote is not counted. All right. So these are the notes from, I extracted from the contest rulebook, like what we mentioned earlier on. Okay, good to know. I have some cases that I can share with you recently. This is especially important for online contests. Some of the chief judge, because it's online, they have developed like a Google form. They have developed a system. When you key in, it will automatically count the ballots for you, and then it will tabulate first, second, third place for you. So someone is asking, is my immediate past district director? Ask whether in a contest we should use those voting platform or not. Yeah. So the reply from TI is, per the online speech contest exception letter, the chief judge instructs judges, counter, and timer on the process of submitting the appropriate ballot for the contest, speech contest time record sheet, and instructions for timers, this particular form, and counters tally sheet, this particular form. So we should still use those forms that provided by Toastmasters International, and we should not use, some of them they use WhatsApp. They just type first place, contestants A, second place, contestants C, third place, contestants E. So some of the judges, they just send WhatsApp message to the ballot counter. So we should do away with that. We should not follow that. They should at least fill up, take a snapshot, or save it as a PDF and then pass it to the ballot counter. All right. So that's for your information. And a very interesting question, since I see that you have evaluation contest, some of you may do joint contests. Let's say you have area X1 and area X2 to do joint contest. How many test speakers you should have, and how many test speech you should do for this joint contest. Some of the joint contests, they use the same test speaker, same test speech, and put all contestants into one room, calling them one by one for both areas. So the reply from TI, it is not, we cannot do that because it is a violation if a contest is not concluded and we start another contest. Okay, so you can use the same test speaker, but it should be a different test speech. Different test speech in the sense that this test speaker can deliver the same speech, but it should be delivered 2 times, which I believe if you join contest, the test speech should not be the same, because if you deliver 2 times on the same speech, the second area contestants will have advantage on that because they have heard it before. Even though I would personally recommend you should have 2 test speakers, because the way they deliver is already been seen by the second area's contestants. So always look for different test speaker, different test speech for a joint contest, joint area contest, or joint club contest. And it is always the contest chair's responsibility to look for a test speaker. All right. Okay, this one I recently asked. This is what I mentioned earlier on. Yeah. If the contest is part of the larger event, that means you have 2 contests doing on the same day, the announcement of the result can be delayed. Because you announce you finished humorous and evaluation contest, only you announce. In our practice in District 102, we announce evaluation result, then only humorous speech result. So if you choose to delay the announcement of the result, protest must be lodged before the contest chair adjourns the contest. So please take note on that. All good. I see red light, and that's about all for my sharing before we move on to the next session. Okay, I hope there's some tips that beneficial you. And now I would like to tell you something about what we are going to do next. All right, we are going to break you into a few breakout rooms, which our Zoom master will do that later on. So in a breakout room, can you see my slides now on a different slide? Welcome to breakout room. All right. In a breakout room, same thing like what Charles mentioned, appoint a representative to present your team's result later. We're going to do a judging exercise, a ballot counting exercise, study the judges' ballots. Okay, our Zoom master will share these files, or Lynn, who will be going to share the files in the chat room. I have the first file, there's judges' ballot. There are 9 judges submitted their ballots. It's all in the PDF file. And there's 1 tie-breaking judge ballot there, and there's 1 time record sheet. In the breakout room, after you have appointed one to present, then discuss on the ballots. All I need you to do is fill up the counter's tally sheet, which will be shared in the room, in the chat box as well, based on the ballots and the time record sheet. Fill up the notification of contest winner. Okay, can we complete this in 10 minutes? All right. So let me stop sharing. So who is going to share the documents in the chat box? Lynn?
Yes, CP, I'm here.
Can you share the document that I sent to you last night?
Okay, hold on 1 second. CP, we have 3 materials. Which one you want to share by now?
There's 1 zip file, right? Called
yes, judging exercise.
Judging exercise. Yeah, share that into the chat box.
Okay, they have 3 files of each PDF.
Correct.
Okay, so I start with a notification contest winner. That would be okay.
And then the other one is the instruction that I said to you. Is in PDF file. Yeah.
Yep.
Share these 2 documents to the chat so that they can download it and they can start discussing in the breakout room. We have 10 minutes so that we have 37 of us now. Perhaps 5 rooms is good enough so that each I will only have 5 representatives to share their result later on.
Okay, so let me create the 5 breakout room, and it will be automatically assigned the participants in each room. Thank you. Please join the room which is automatically assigned to you.
CP, please check your message.
Okay. Chin, can you set me as co-host so that I can jump between the rooms? Cannot extract the file. You can't extract the file.
Yeah, it's not authorized to extract the file.
So they don't, now they don't have the files.
CP, you are a co-host already.
Okay, let me share my file here. You get the file? Lynn, the file is in the chat box now. Yeah.
Second.
Let's help in the chat room.
Yeah, 1 second.
Announcement. Some of the participants have not joined the breakout room. Will you please click join the breakout room so that we have full participants enroll in this breakout room together?
CP, the file is ready to share. You want to share on screen by now? Where is he? Charles?
Who are? You mean CP? I think CP went to some of the rooms already.
Yes, because the file just extracted. So the file is ready to be shared. I'm not so sure whether you want to share on this main room or inside the room.
Okay. Yeah, inside the room because they need the file.
Okay.
Hello, I've
Wait.
come back from the room because we are at a loss at what to do.
Oh,
So nobody knows what to do and we don't have the documents.
okay. CP, unmute that.
I'm sharing a document now. This is in room. This is in main room.
Yes, main room.
But I'm not sure if you share in the main room, will it go to the breakout rooms or not?
I will go to the breakout room and share with them. I just went into room 1 and now going to other rooms.
Okay, so you'll do it room by room. We'll wait for
Yes,
you in
yes,
our
yeah.
room then.
Yeah.
I'm in breakout room 4. If I could request Zoom Master to please reassign me to
Room 4.
I see I can do that myself. Thank you. I can do
Okay.
that. Okay. Thank you.
Sound check. Do you hear Eddie's voice?
Yeah, someone speaking.
Okay.
I think it's from maybe Liu Spare, is it?
And also connecting to audio.
Connecting to audio, yeah, Pipat.
Yeah, people.
Yes. Room now.
Hi, CP.
Hang on, yeah. How many rooms do we have? 3, 4.
5. Jean, may I check with you?
Yes.
Unmute, please. If you are a Zoom master or assigned to be host, there will be a scheme show breakout rooms in progress. I'm not so sure whether you saw that.
Breakout room.
Breakout rooms in progress.
I didn't see that. Oh, okay. So I can join other rooms as well. So right now, room 1, there are 4 audiences. Room 2, six. Room 2, room 3, 4. Room 5, room 3, 4, room 4, 5. Room 5 is 3. Now we have 5 rooms altogether.
Lin,
Yes.
some of the rooms they cannot receive the files.
Okay. Let me check.
Like room 3 cannot receive the file. I don't know. I don't understand why. But some other rooms they can receive though.
Room number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to jump in again, right?
See whether do you have the file with you?
Yep, I have. I do
Can you
have.
go to room 3 and share with them?
All right.
Go to room 4 first. I need coffee.
I drank coffee. I finished my coffee already. Just now at the start, I already drank my coffee. Not sure whether I should drink another cup or not. Maybe I should.
Sure.
Because if I don't drink, they don't replace a new one. I need to drink. Anyway, the Illy coffee is quite nice. Hello, everyone.
Is everyone back?
Not all.
Yeah, apologies that we have some hiccups on sharing the files.
Yes, coming back soonest.
Actually, all these were planned by CP. He just wanted you to know that when it comes online, there will be all these hiccups. Wow, very clever, CP. You plan all these in advance.
Sometimes, yeah, this is what we face during online contests.
So all are coming back to the main room.
All right, yeah. Can we have the first room representative to share the screen so that share your result? Tina, what's our timing like?
I think since we have a bit of the hiccup and we delayed for the session, so we have only 10 minutes.
Okay, sure. Perhaps let me share my screen. Will you be able to see my judges' ballot on the screen?
Yes.
All right. So these are the ballots from the judges. Let us go through these ballots, yeah, as the chief judge. When you receive all this, number one, ballots from Jane, is it valid? Is it valid? Okay. You can just unmute and say it out loud whether this is valid. I would say number one is valid. Number two, from Jenny, is it valid?
Yes.
Valid.
Yes. Okay. Number three, from Jim.
Jim is also valid.
Yes.
Valid. All right. Now from John.
No.
No.
No. Why is not there?
No third place.
Yes. There's no third placing. As a judge, we need to submit first, second, and third place to make the ballot valid. Otherwise, it will be voided. For Jonathan?
Jonathan. No
Yes.
signature, not valid.
Yes, there's no signature there. It is voided, cannot be counted. Jonah?
No. Wrong name.
Correct. They give three placing, but wrong name. There's no such contestants called Gerard and Robbie. All right.
Tricky, very tricky.
And this is what you will be facing, yeah, especially with inexperienced judges. Joshua?
Invalid.
No.
No, no
Also not
tie.
valid. Because as a judge, we need to break our own tie first. Okay, if you have two same score, you should break the tie and then place it, whether Gary or Robert will be second or third place. So this is voided. For this one, Joe's?
Valid. Okay.
That should be valid, yeah?
Yes.
The name is correct.
Valid.
Oh, valid. I think so.
Julian
Julian.
Not valid.
is not valid
Not
because
valid.
it's
Put
not
in
on the
the
right
wrong
place.
place.
Correct. So this is the tie-breaking judge from Judy, and we move on to the timer sheet. How many time disqualification here you see?
1, 2, 2,
2.
3, I think.
4. 3.
4.
3.
3.
There are 3 time disqualification here. Number 1, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. 7 minutes and 40 seconds. This is overtime. And this one, 4 minutes and 28 seconds. So the minimum qualification time should be 4 minutes and 30 seconds for international speech contest. Yeah, so 3 disqualified. So with all this, may I check who has this?
Haven't listed.
So these are the 9 contestants with 9 judges. All right. Robert Reid scored the highest. Unfortunately, he is disqualified on timing. And then we have 4 points, 4 points. We have Matt McIntyre also disqualified. Hattie Cayenne also disqualified. So who is the first place here? Pat Purple. All right. Second place.
It's a tie.
Gary.
Second
Gary.
place.
It's a tie between Wanda and Gary.
There's a tie here.
Yeah.
Wanda and Gary.
So we need
So
to
with
go
this,
to the
you have to
tie-break
go
judge.
back to the tie-breaking judge.
Judge.
Wanda and Gary,
Gary.
right?
And
So
yeah,
within these two,
Gary
Gary
and
rank higher.
Gary.
Right? Yeah. That's why I have Gary second place, Wanda third place. All right. So the final question in terms of the notification winner of notification of winners, how many names should be on the form?
3.
3. Anyone
3.
else?
What level?
All right.
What level?
In notification of contest winner, all non-disqualified, all qualified judges, contestants should be ranked accordingly. That means it's not just 3. Why we don't put 3? Because if first, second, third place cannot make it right, you have to send the 4th place for the next level of contest. And those who has been disqualified will not be able to go to the next level. So 3 contestants are not in the list here. And you have Billy and Yvonne having the same score, 0 marks, which we also need to go to the tie-breaking judge ballot. Look for Yvonne and Billy. So Yvonne ranked higher than Billy. That's how I have Yvonne, Billy. All right. So this is how we, as a chief judge, we will need to do this. And we should do all this with the ballot counters together. All right. Hope this will be some experience for you serving as chief judge. All right. I am coming almost to the end already. Now, will you be able to see my slides again? All right, good. So we have final, perhaps 5 minutes. You have any question? I've seen a question, can we use online test speaker or not? Correct. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong slide, sorry.
So the question is from me, Tanu. The question is, can we use the recorded test speaker from YouTube for the evaluation contest? Thank you.
From YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. We should not have the test speaker from YouTube. That means a pre-recorded. Because it's an online contest, we should have the test speaker online as well, as I can understand. But it should be presented live. It's not recorded. That's what I would recommend, because if we take it from YouTube, someone may have seen it before. So we are not providing a fair platform for all contestants. Yeah.
Thank you. That is clear to me also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I hope that answers your question. Any more question?
Me too, me.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. If the area level or even division level, they are using the pre-recorded video as a test speaker, then it is not allowed, right? How can we know that? How can the district leaders knows about that, whether it is fair or unfair at area level and division level?
If the contest chair should look for a test speaker in the first place and set the rules. You cannot pre-record your video and then display only. So when you set the, if the test speaker say, oh, I cannot, I must give you a video, then replace the test speaker. We have many members in the district that can, yeah. So once you have decided that we do not use pre-recorded video, then there's no two way about it. The test speaker should present it live. Yeah. And coming to that, should or can a test speaker, after delivering his test speech and he leave the contest? After the test speech, while the contestants are still preparing for 5 minutes, say, oh, I have something on, I got to leave.
That is why we must have a backup, like 2 test speaker, just for a backup.
But the test speech already delivered, and he has to leave first. He has to leave early. So
he can, I think.
He can. I think
he can. I think it's not nice, you know. So when the contestants comes in, who do they evaluate? You know? So set all these criteria for the test speaker. Can you fulfill this or not? Stay until the end of the evaluation contest, so that when the contestants evaluate, they know that they are talking to you. Yeah. So there's also a core value of respect that we are upholding here. Yeah. Any other question from the floor?
I have a question regarding the evaluation contest. So normally when we do the physical contest, mostly after the test speaker deliver their speech, and then we have all the evaluation contestants sit down together and do the evaluation. So after that, they was like move to the other room, and we have someone to watch over them, so that they could not write anymore. And what if we have to do it online? So when we put them in breakout, because like the camera can like turn off, right? So how we know that they are do not writing anything when we do the virtual?
When the contestants are in the holding room or breakout room, they should keep their video on throughout. I have seen clubs, they said your hand must be like this. Some they say you got to keep a distance, you know. So we know that you are not near to your table. Yeah. So the contestants have to keep their video on. Yeah. And for that, I have a question to ask. Can contestants use their computer or their digital device to write their evaluation?
I think no, because like CI they have like digital paper, so after that they have to send it back.
Yeah, because it's online, you cannot collect the evaluation form, but it is written in the rulebook. Contestants cannot use digital device or computer to write their evaluation notes. Because that digital device or computer, we do not know whether they can access to internet or whatever, so that they can do reference or they can find materials or not. Yeah. So read out the rule books is stated there, cannot use. And I have seen one contestant was being disqualified for that.
One more last question. So I face this challenging like in my area there's not a lot of active member. So for example, I planning to be a contestant, but at the club they reach out for me to be a judges, but their time of the contest is different time. So can I do that?
Okay. If you are judging at the club level contest, even though you are contesting, you can still be a judge. Area level and above, you should not be a judge if you are contesting at area level and above. Even like what Charles mentioned, even chief judge, if you are contesting at area level and above, you should not take up the role as chief judge. You know.
Yep, thank you, Mike CP, for your answer.
I also have a question. After the contest result has announced, one contestant feels that the timing is recorded wrongly. She thought that she's overtime, and she lodged a protest and to request to review the recording of the entire contest. As a chief judge or contest chair, do you accept that protest?
No, because they can protest only for 3 categories.
Correct. Only 3 criteria.
Yeah, 3 criteria.
Yep.
Capabilities, originalities, and reference.
Yes. And if the contest chair has announced the contest adjourned, the result is final. All right. Any more questions? If not, yeah, let's keep in touch. If you have any questions, you can either reach out to Lynn or to Charles or to myself. I can be contacted. My email, my mobile. We can also connect on Facebook. Yeah. With that, thank you very much for your time. Now I pass the control back to Toastmaster of the Day.
Wow, thank you so much, CP, to explain about the eligibility related to the contest or something that we need to do behind the contest. And right now, I would like to invite PQD, Lynn, distinguished Toastmaster Lynn, to give the certificates or recognition to our distinguished CP.
Perhaps we should do it for Charles first.
Yes, we also have both certification. Just waiting for Zoom-master to present the certification on screen. Alrighty, for Charles. Thank you so much, and everyone, please help me to upward for wonderful train for Charles. Next. Charles, okay, can we have your photo together with the certifications?
I spotlighted him.
Yeah, and spotlight. So master, she's ready.
Spotlighted already. I spotlighted him already.
Yeah. So master, is you ready? Please raise your hand. I think it's done. Next, may I invite everyone to give me and share me the round of report to CP Lounge.
Thank you so much.
Second. So, Master, please change to CP. CP certifications. All right, CP, this is yours. Thank you so much. To be a very wonderful training for our district. And this is the time for our closing remark, which is I would like to hand the floor to Toastmaster of the Day, Goy. Return the stage to you.
Thank you so much, PhD Lin, to provide the certificates to our trainer today, and we will learn a lot through it. So right now, I would like to call these aspirants to give the close remap for our event as well. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, Goy. And first of all, I would like to extend our gratitude, our grateful thanks to our trainers, Toastmaster Adeline, Distinguished Toastmaster Charles Tan, and Distinguished Toastmaster CP Lau. And special thanks to all participants today for your presence. And the heartfelt thanks to the team for organizing this wonderful event. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all here to learn to win, learn to be champions. All champions have something in common. They fight until the end. Every minute, every second is for incredible achievement. We can fail, but we are not losers. Do every minute, every second like a champion. Be champion in your own way. At least you make your history as a champion. Back to you, PQ Lin. Oh, CG, Toastmaster of the Day, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster aspirant. And right now we also see the feedback from our PhD to let our participant to do it in order to make sure that we could improve our event to the next level as well.